You're listening to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Bill McIntyre, and it's time for this week's Long Island News, the show that talks to newsmakers from Nassau and Suffolk County that matter to Long Island and Long Islanders like you. So each week we'll have a conversation about issues that affect all of us. I live on Long Island just like you, and I want to know more about where my tax dollars are going, and I want to know more about the people making the big decisions that affect all of us. Well, this week is the second of a two-part episode where I'm very happy to welcome back as my guest for another conversation, Nassau County Commissioner of Police, Mr. Patrick J. Ryder. And a reminder, if you missed our first conversation from last week, you can listen back to it by searching for this week's Long Island News wherever you listen to podcasts. Welcome back.
Welcome to be back. Thank you for having me.
Oh, hey, you know, I was thinking the other night when I started to think about interviewing, doing the interview. My dad was a volunteer fireman, and he died young, so it wasn't for a long period of time. But I can remember, and this was in the days when you actually heard the sirens.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it must be 25, 30 years now where they went to radios and
pages and radios.
We used to count how many blasts it let you know if it was a general fire or a rescue. The rescue guys had to go no matter what, but the other guys would wait and see if it was a general. Oh, it's a general. We got to go too. Okay. But he would wake up at 2 a.m, what's your schedule like? It's got to be.
I got an email this morning from a woman in the community of Elmont who had a concern. She sent it to me yesterday. I answered it at about 3:30 this morning, and she says, "Dear God, do you ever sleep?" Because I had just seen her about 9 o'clock that evening, also at an event. And I don't sleep. I sleep with this phone next to my bed, and I have 2,500 cops that I'm responsible, another 1,500 civilians, and 1.5 million people. That is our job to protect and secure. So I get a lot of calls during the night. I get a lot of, I tell people to text me so you don't wake my wife up, but I sleep so light. I hear the bing, I roll over, I answer the text. And then, of course, I have a son that's a cop. So then what I do is I look to see what's going on in his post. And if he's out there, and last night he had an arrest early. So he was in the station house, and I'm like, all right, I can go back to sleep now. He's secure. He's in the station house. And I'm over here, and it's all good.
Man, you look remarkably good for someone who doesn't sleep. All right, marijuana is now legal in New York. Any big changes on your horizon for that? Or
no, because the 3 townships here in Nassau County all opted out, right? They don't have any sale locations you can sell. We are seeing those, and we just busted one down in the 5 Towns area. Shops that are smoke shops have taken it upon themselves to sell THC. THC is still illegal.
Right.
And unless you got the license to sell it. They don't have a license because nobody can have it in the county of Nassau. The 3 townships are out. So we're busted. We hit about 5 shops in the last 3 months. And unfortunately, we don't find out about it sometimes until somebody overdoses on the THC. Where did you get the THC? Because like my daughter's 16. Why did she overdose? She can't buy this stuff. I go, you can't buy it anywhere now. So where did you get it? And we'll find out that there are stores selling it. So we'll send it undercover in. We'll make a couple of buys. Then we'll do a search warrant. One of them was a very large group. We're looking at over $2 to $3 million of sales.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's profitable to that person, right? But it's going to cost us in the long run. When you talk about mental health, there have already come out reports. Newsday put an article out a couple of weeks ago about the causes of marijuana smoking, what it's doing to their lungs, to their brain, and also to the mental health, and what the fall down in society in general is that what you're going to start to see a deterioration. Now, I'm not the guy. I just give you the facts that I know, right. and I did a big report when they first came out when wanted to legalize in the state. We sent the white paper up to Albany, and I remember getting a call by somebody that was heavily invested in the marijuana business and says, "Your report is killing me." I said, "It's killing you?" I said, that report is going to stop the deaths of a lot of kids. Yeah. And again, it circles back. And you have the argument, the pro and against. Yep. I'm against, as you can clearly see. Yeah.
I think that people who, let's just say, used flower marijuana, meaning the leaf, when it came out with all of the gummy bears, is when we parted company as far as this ain't your dad's marijuana.
They're taking gummies and chocolate candy. And kids are overdosing now.
Well, that's crazy. I mean, adults like chocolate too, but no. But I think the thing is that in a gummy bear, there can be more THC than you could ever physically smoke.
That's correct.
And I think there's a disconnect when people say, "Oh, it's just a gummy, and it's this many milligrams or whatever." Because those amounts of THC are being manipulated by who's ever making that stuff.
And that's not made by government or controlled. So there's the argument for government saying, let us take control of it, we'll make a better product. Right. I got it, but you're not getting rid of the illegal side.
But I also think, that's the thing, and I think the government's got to kind of get out of their own way and realize that it's within their power to get rid of the black market.
That's right.
I think the things that they do is what maintains that black market. If you make it too expensive for people, if you make it too hard to get, we made it legal, but it didn't change for anybody. So they're going to go to the guy who's standing on the street corner. He's right here.
I don't smell it in the communities in Nassau County like I thought I would, but I tell you what, I do smell it. Go down to Southern State any time of the day, you'll smell weed. I'll be driving along my detail guy, and he'll say, I go, "Oh, I smell weed." And you just can't. And they're the people that shouldn't be doing it are driving cars.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. We'll let the listening audience know. I think the law states that you cannot use marijuana in a car.
That's correct.
Now, parked?
No. Not, if that vehicle is operable, meaning your keys are in it and so forth, you can't. If you're parked in your car and you're driving, you're smoking weed, no.
Oh, that's a no, right?
Yeah, that's
when you say the keys are in the car, in the ignition or just in the car?
In the ignition, so you're ready to go.
Yeah. I heard a story about a guy getting busted for. I think it was the story went that he came out of the bar definitely loaded. He was over a .08, but he got in his car, and because he had his keys, he was considered to be.
He's about to drive, right?
But that's a shame, though. He was trying to do the right thing.
Well, we have the right of discretion. If we pulled up on somebody and they're outside of a bar and look, they're in their car, they're sleeping it off, right? The keys are there. How much time do you need? Who's going to watch you to make sure you stay sleeping for those 8 hours, 9 hours?
Yep.
Did you eat something? Did you get some coffee?
Yep.
And again, but we tried to be fair, but sometimes the law is so it's put in place to save other lives.
It doesn't give you leeway at times.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Again, I wrote a bunch of notes down. Here's one of the things about crime, and it seemed to me to be kind of odd, but in places like pharmacies, Dunkin' Donuts, little mom and pop shops, the policy now seems to be if you see somebody or catch somebody shoplifting, don't intervene. It's counterintuitive, because you want to get the bad guy, but I understand it. You don't want your employees to get hurt. You also, if you do intervene and you hurt that guy, he could turn around and sue you.
Absolutely.
So the stores don't want to be sued. But what does this do to the attitude toward, is this a petty crime?
No, it's not a petty crime so I take that candy bar. That's a petty crime, right? That's a petty larceny.
Right.
I'm walking out the door and the guard goes to stop me. I shove that guard, knock him to the ground. It's now a robbery. You just jumped all the way to a felony.
Oh, okay.
And a serious felony. So we do have stores that I don't want you to intervene. If you have a security guard, do what a security guard's best at doing. See it, call us, and let the cop intervene. But what's happening in many of the stores today, they're not calling us till after the bad guy is gone. Instead of just calling 911 from the back room or from the side room or putting a panic button,
right?
They're not calling us till he's gone, and that's the policy. And many of the stores today, many of our commercial establishments, and I won't name them publicly right now because we're having hot discussions with their corporate and they're saying to their corporate, file the report, get the case number for insurance, but we're not going to sign to have the person arrested. Even if we caught the guy. I said, no, it doesn't work that way. Not in Nassau County. Yeah. You commit a crime in Nassau County and someone wants you arrested, we're going to arrest you. You commit a crime in Nassau County and you want us to come and be your security guard and then say, but I don't want him arrested?
Right.
I'm going to take the case report. I'm going to document my number, but I'm not giving it to you so you can go make an insurance claim. Well, my cop got hurt rolling around tackling the guy down the lobby of the mall. I work with the stores all the time, and our cops do a great job with it. But even the county exec is on board. Is that look? We got to be working together towards the solution here. Yeah. You can't go against us. You can't turn around and now I'm going to be liable for what I just did with this guy. Even as a cop, I'm going to be liable.
Right.
Or the county's going to be liable. I tackle the guy who just does a robbery, comes busting out of one of the stores in the mall. He runs down, I tackle him, and as he goes down, he breaks his arm. Mm-hmm. Wasn't a police brutality. It wasn't anything like that. It's just making an apprehension. Mm. We arrest him. We bring him inside, and they go, we don't want to prosecute. What do you mean you don't want to prosecute? You just stole your diamond ring out of the cabinet here. We don't want to prosecute. Well, if you're not going to prosecute, well, don't use me then.
Why did we run after him?
Right, and now the county's going to pay for that broken arm, and so we need the support of the stores. Look, that's the business we're in. Someone breaks an arm, and if the county is held responsible, the county has to do what they have to do. But not if you're not going to support us.
Yeah.
In Nassau County, 99% of the stores back us, support us, and work with us. And that's the beauty of where we live here. That's why we are the safest county in America.
Right.
Because of the support that we get from working together with schools and houses of worship and businesses.
It's a lot of nooks and crannies, too.
If you keep letting them steal, they're going to keep stealing.
Well, that's the thing. It just seemed so counterintuitive to me that you go, well, wait a minute, then what's stopping the next guy from just walking in with a shopping bag if he wants to?
And then I can't blame bail reform then. I can't blame bail reform. I can't say it's their fault. You made a terrible law. Yeah, they made a terrible law, but we're not even getting help now.
Yeah, right.
So, and we do have some stores like that in Nassau, and we've called out their corporate offices to say, hey, you're either on board with us here in Nassau County, or we're not. We're going to go. We're going to do our job 100%. Yeah. But I'm not giving you a case report for insurance purposes. I'll do it for statistical numbers, but not for insurance.
Right. Yeah, that's. I just thought that was wild. Let's talk about the future of Long Island. Where do you think we're going? Where do you think we're? Let me lay a piece of. I was thinking about. I've been here a long time. I've been on Long Island. It's close to 70 years. So,
and you're only 55. That's not bad.
No, I'm a little older than that. And I've seen a lot of stuff. It seems to me that look, the old rule, or the rule now too, is you make your money in New York, you retire somewhere else and spend it there. That MO, it seems to work for Long Island. Long Island
taxes and the way cheaper residencies. Yep.
Well, I think Long Island, as an entity, they want people to come in single family homes because that's where And now we're at a place where apartment life is colliding with that single family dwelling, and the governor, she just did the thing about putting up
housing near the tracks,
near the train track. And I know that there's a group called Avalon Properties, and they've been doing this for a long time. Yeah. I saw those plans a long time ago, where they would put up apartments near the trains, and they wanted people who were working in the city and commuting back to Long Island at night, who preferably didn't have cars. Mm-hmm. And that's why, like Farmingdale, it's got all the restaurants you could ever want. And it's, and
great downtown area. The mayor's a great man. Mayor Ekstrom, great people.
Yeah. Yep. That's where I grew up, in Farmingdale. But it seems like, here comes the future, and more people want to move to Long Island, but they either can't afford, $1 million house. So the culture of the 50s and the 60s is going to disappear.
Mm-hmm. What I see in Long Island, look, life changes, everything changes. There's, there's new development talking about the Coliseum over here in Uniondale.
Yeah.
And then there's other, the housing that the governor is trying to put within a certain area of the train. That should be the control of local government, not the state coming in and telling Nassau County, Bruce Blakeman, this is what you're going to do. Yeah. The county exec will fight this.
Oh yeah, but you know what? That's her MO. And and you know what? Okay, that worked. To me, this is how government's supposed to work. They put the bail law in place. I thought it was much too early, but they started tweaking it when people got mad and said, no, you can't do. Okay, you know what? If it works like that, I'm fine. When it first comes out, we're all having a fit. This stinks. I want to, But as long as it changes as we go along and we can come to something that we all agree with and that it works.
Correct.
Great.
And that's the...
She never said she was a genius. You know what I mean?
I'm not going to comment.
Well, she never said she was a genius, and she's trying.
Yep. Yeah.
Listen,
the city of New York right now, rental property is through the roof in the city.
I know.
So they are coming out here because they can get an apartment in someone's basement in one of the smaller suburb areas to say, hey, I can get in there for $1,500 for a basement.
I know.
I had a second floor when I first got married of a house. It was beautiful for $500 a month. I should have stayed there. But when you look at that, we develop. Right, things change. You don't want it to be static. You don't want to be back in the 50s and the 60s. You want to. I mean, maybe an age.
I think a lot of the population thinks that way.
But things change, and you don't want your taxes higher, right? So you got to find different revenue sources. You want to save money in the budget, so you got to cut services, and then that service affects this population and that population. Yeah. County exec does a good job with balancing it. So does the legislative body. But now that we have the state stepping in and saying certain things that they want, local government's upset, and local government should be upset. Listen, Mayor Ekstrom developed Farmingdale with his board. They did a great job. It's beautiful. Rockville Center developed Rockville Center. Wantor developed Wantor. And it's moving in the direction they like to see it. There's not that much empty land near the train stations that they're going to put this housing to begin with. So are we going to take over properties? Yeah. It's a concern. And I know I've already heard it from the residents, saying, hey, what do you know about this? I'm not the politician. I'm the police commissioner. I can tell you safety and security, I'm going to need more cops if you're increasing population. That costs money in the budget. Right. When you add a UBS arena, need more cops. That costs money. Whatever they're going to do with the development over here at the Coliseum, it's going to take more cops. Yeah. Because we have a quality of life that we want in Nassau County. We expect it. We demand it. And it's my job, along with obviously the county exec's job, but the police department to deliver that. And so you can't keep...
But you need the tools to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we've been given them. Yeah. We have not been shortchanged at all.
Right. What do you think about the development of the Coliseum with the deal with the sands?
Property's been... Look, I got to clear this off the air. I have no inside knowledge and nothing. I have no involvement in the process, right? I mean, I will be when it comes to the security side. And they're nowhere near that, right?
But as... you're a citizen and a dad and a husband.
You're looking at it, and I'm looking at a piece of land that hasn't been developed in years. There's been talk about this for the last 25 years. The Coliseum, it was lipstick on the pig, as they called it, right back then. But I still think it's a great venue. And it's on Nassau Veterans Coliseum. So if the Sands is coming into willing to deal with that and develop and bring in something of a casino, look, if it's going to bring revenue for the county and you're not raising my taxes, I'm happy as a taxpayer. Yeah. What I do know and I said this the other day, so I can repeat this here. I said it at a venue in Garden City. If you're going to bring in a casino, people go, it's going to bring crime and everything. This is not a strip. This is not downtown Vegas. This is not, the Jersey Shore. I had spoken to a man named Dorian Corrine. He's the head of the strip in Vegas. And he sits on the Major City Chiefs Intelligence Commanders meeting with me. He's my co-chair. Okay. I said, Dorian, I may be getting one of your tenants. And he goes, they were one of the best that dealt with the problems that they have in Vegas. Vegas is a different animal, We have a controlled environment there. It's going to be fenced-in property, controlled access, 21 and older to gamble. Obviously, the shows will be on. And when the shows end, obviously, you're going into the casino. You got to be older than 21, right? If it sets up the high-end restaurants and everything, it's going to bring a lot of revenue. Does it bring traffic? Yes. But so did the Grateful Dead concerts when they came, right? And they camped out here for weeks. But so did the Fish concerts. So did the when we had a lot of the rap concerts back then, we had some robberies and homicides that come in. We had a concert only 3-4 years ago. The guy landed his helicopter here. You can't drop a helicopter in the middle of Uniondale. So we seized that helicopter. We ended up giving it back, but we did seize it that evening. And the point to me is, the people in that surrounding area, they want to make sure that their quality of life is maintained. That is my job when it comes to safety, security, and the traffic. With the DPW, we work together to come up with the best traffic patterns. This is an idea right now. The county exec is digging into every fine detail about it. It's not a quick flash in the pan, like somebody's going, let's do. like bail reform, right? It's a plan. They're thinking about it.
Well, it'll be developing, which means it'll include building.
That's right.
The cash bail law didn't need any building.
That's
which
right.
Is, it was a thing. But
they're gonna put workers back to work. They're gonna give that community a ton of opportunities for employment, which is key. And again, I'm not saying I'm for or against it. What I'm saying to you is, any development there has got to happen. Yeah. We can't leave it empty land. And
well, people don't realize that their property taxes are based on the school
revenue.
Taxes. Nobody wants a business in their backyard, but everybody wants their money when it comes time to pay for school taxes.
Yep.
And if we had more businesses that were working well and actually creating revenue, your real estate taxes your school taxes wouldn't be that high.
And look what schools are dealing with today. And again, I have a great relationship. It's over 200,000 kids just in the public school system alone. Forget the private schools and everything else that's popping up, the yeshivas and everything else. Yeah. Their security and your children's security is their priority. So they're adding layers and layers of security at many recommendations that we give them through our assessments. And there's a cost to that.
Well, I think the other thing that people, not conveniently, but they forget is that those buildings are also getting old.
Yep.
And a lot of money is needed to keep those things just at the standard they're at, not even better, just to hold the place they're in, right now. I think people, they just look, well, the teachers are making this much money and the superintendent, that's where all the money's going. No, it's not. A lot of it's going just to keep the buildings.
It's buildings, it's programs.
Yeah.
And again, the teachers, they do a great job with our children.
Okay. What I wanted to ask you too. Let's just say it's a dream, universal health care in America. Let's say that happened. How would that affect the police department as far as financially to start? Would that?
Family benefits for any family, they run about $25,000 to $30,000 from the government standpoint. So for me to have my family benefits, or any cop to have it, or any county employee, it's $30,000 to get a family package. It's expensive, very expensive. Sometimes it's around the same as what some people are getting paid. A starting cop makes $37,000. So so
he paid for his health care.
Yeah, and he's got $7,000 left over.
You got to eat.
Yeah, exactly. When you my mother was from Ireland. They have universal health care there, right?
Everybody else but us.
Yeah, and she went back to get her teeth done at times, and because I go, Mom, why are you going back to Ireland? She goes, by the time I can visit family, I can pay the airfare, and still save a boatload of money by going back there to get the work done. So again, it shows you there's always pluses and minuses and anything, but when it comes to the police department, look, once we're getting the health care, there's mental health issues today in law enforcement like crazy. We have 9/11 issues that still, I have had 2 pieces of my body cut open with cancer taken off of because of 9/11. I have many friends that have died from 9/11 cancer. So when you look at, what we deal, and in the pandemic, I had 40% of my job go get the virus. Right. I had 3 officers die from the virus. And so people forget that. It just kind of, and we're no different than anybody else that went through the pandemic. But we came to work. We were forced to come to, not forced. We volunteered to come in, right? We could have hit it home. I could have lost my job too, but we came to work every day, as did the nurses, the doctors, the firemen. This county was phenomenal in what they did. I was the incident commander for the county during the pandemic, and I got to see firsthand how everybody stepped up and gave and did the right thing, and it really was good. But so when you look at the need for law enforcement, I've had pins in my shoulder. I just had neck surgery only 6 weeks ago. Ooh. They did a couple of discs from an accident at work. I've had knees. I had, and that's just me. Look, it's a rough and tough job that goes on every single day.
Professional football.
Yeah.
It's almost an insult, right? A guy's working, right? He loses his job for whatever reason, and they offer him Cobra.
Yeah.
And he looks at the tag on Cobra, and it's like $5,000 a month for you and your family. And I sit there and think, wait a minute, you realize he just lost the job. He didn't get one. Right. I think that's a slap in the face to anybody. That that's not an offer. That's
most civil servants don't get paid like the private sector gets paid.
No,
right?
no.
They don't even come close to it. In the private sector, they pay for the healthcare. Many of them do it because they get the benefits, they get the security, they get the pension. Right. So that's why we chose that path. And a lot of them, like myself, are children of immigrants that came here and said, hey, don't even think about being a lawyer or a doctor. You're going to be a cop, or a fireman, and you're going to be a civil servant. And that's my father was and I was.
Right.
As all my siblings were too.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
You turn to a blank
page. I came to the end of my list there. I mean, and now, is there anything you want to broadcast and tell the listeners?
Yeah, real quick, we talked about it earlier. We have differences. We always have different opinions. We went through over 300 protests in this county in Black History Month, and I just spoke with the community last night. And I said the beauty of this was how we went through it with no violence, no property damage in Nassau County. Why? Because we worked together. We by far, there was an argument going back and forth every day. But at the same time, when it was done, we treated each other with respect. And that is the key to our success. And I tell my cops all the time, the key to the success of the Nassau County Police Department is the respect that you give to the community and you get from the community.
Yeah.
And
it's working.
It's working. And I thank our communities for that.
Well, we're almost out of time. One of the things I thought of, too, is, and I see it, there was just another carjacking, but there was a carjacking in it. Folks, when you go to the gas station and you get out of your car, lock it.
Just take the key out of it.
How many women, how many women have had their pocketbooks just swiped off and didn't even realize? They go in, they drive away, and when they get to the next store, they realize their pocketbook is gone.
Yeah.
Vigilance is part of our job.
Yes, and I hate to call out people and say, lock your car. Lock your doors, do this. Because you know what? You should have the right to live in a safe environment. And you do in Nassau County. Yeah. But if you did a little bit for us, you'd help me a great way.
Yeah.
And like I said, when we got the education on about locking the car and putting the fobs inside the house, our stolen cars went way down. Yeah. Way down. And, we caught a lot of the bad guys. Yeah, bail reform, but I can't blame everything on bail reform.
And there'll always be somebody to replace those guys that you caught and put away.
Exactly.
There's schools for this kind of stuff.
90% of the crime is done by 10% of the population.
Wow.
So we got a great population out there. I bet you in Nassau County it's done by 5% of the population. Yeah. That's how good it is. And again, record low numbers, and I don't like to jinx myself, but so far this year we have possibly one homicide. I look at all the major cities; they're all already in double digits.
Wow. Thank you very much.
My pleasure as always.
And we could do 5 more shows, so whenever you got time, let me know.
I'm good.
Let me know. Well, my guest today has been Nassau County Commissioner of Police, Mr. Patrick J. Ryder. And we do thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to speak with us for these past 2 weeks. Let's not let a whole year go by before catching up again.
You got it.
And again, thank you for coming in person these 2 weeks to catch up with all the issues that should matter to everyone. But in any event, the clock on the wall says it's time for this week's Long Island News to get on out of here. I'm Bill McIntyre. Remember, you can listen to us by searching for this week's Long Island News wherever you listen to podcasts. And we are right here on the radio every Friday at 3 p.m. on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.